Hello, my name is Daniel Stalder, and I'm the broadband advocate for the Iowa Communications Alliance, bringing you a legislative update from the Iowa Capitol. I hope everyone has weathered the storm in good shape from our first widespread snow event of the year. The Iowa legislature did not slow down. Only a handful of meetings were canceled, but otherwise it has been business as usual here in Des Moines. Earlier today, Iowa Communications Alliance provided comments on Senate File 169. This is our financial disclosure of utility cooperatives under section of Iowa Code 499 and 498. After a little bit of conversation with legislators and other groups involved, it was uncovered that this legislation was actually intended to impact Code of Iowa Chapter 357A and 504. These are rural water districts. These sorts of miscommunications or errors are common, and oftentimes to fix this legislation requires a little bit more than friendly conversation and helpful attitude, as was the case on Senate File 169. So if this legislation does move forward, we do expect there to be a significant amendment impacting it that kind of brings it outside of the telecommunications sphere. Other legislation that we are following very closely, I certainly want to mention House Study Bill 126, our Central Office Equipment Sales Tax Exemption. This is a piece of legislation that ICA has requested be introduced, and it looks like there's going to be a subcommittee scheduled for next week. We are registered in support because this legislation clarifies that the Central Office Equipment Sales Tax Exemption for telecommunications equipment be brought into sort of a modern definition. In other states, we have seen Department of Revenue auditors use competing definitions of what primarily telecommunications equipment means, and this certainly updates that code for the benefit of telecommunications providers. We do expect there to be a fiscal impact of about $1 million annually to the state general fund, and we're looking forward to communicating the virtues and values of House Study Bill 126 to the Iowa House members of Economic Growth and Technology. While there has not been an update on House Study Bill 104, this is our next generation 911 implementation. This does remain a top priority for ICA. We have earlier this week met with the Iowa Communications Network, Homeland Security and Emergency Management Division, and Dave Duncan hosted a wonderful, productive meeting to answer a lot of the sort of open-ended questions that we have about this legislation. The two takeaways that I got from this meeting are that the questions that we have need to be asked, and that they are likely going to be asked for some time outside of this legislation. This deals with the architecture of the next generation 911 system, and something that ICN and HSEM definitely acknowledge that these are the kind of questions that we're going to be asking for quite some time, and they're going to continue to answer for us over a period of time. The other takeaway that I got was that the legislation in its current form is almost certainly going to change. The conversations around the local governments and public safety groups is one that they are unappreciative of the changes in the surcharge distribution, and so this legislation, if it's going to progress this year, is going to take a fundamentally different approach to quite a few components of that. This means that we have our work cut out for us in communicating our needs in the legislation, and something that we're looking forward to doing with the House Public Safety Committee. I'd mentioned that we have not seen a companion in the Iowa Senate so far, so it does look like we're going to be working with our House members on this piece of legislation. So I encourage you to follow along in the weekly newsletter and our legislative updates online. Please give me an email if you have any questions about specific legislation I did not cover, but we look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for your time.